to Southern Real Estate Podcast. I am Said, your host, and today I am joined by Derek Carlson. He's a luxury and real estate advisor with real estate in Park City and KW Park City, Keller Williams Real Estate. Derek specializes in luxury homes, ski properties, golf communities, investment properties, and new construction throughout Park City, Deer Valley, and surrounding areas. His team reports more than like $500 million in closed volume, which is fantastic across nearly 400 transactions since 2012. So, Derek, welcome to the show, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Great to have you, my friend. Great to have you. So, I always start with the journey, the path. Your path to into real estate was, anything but ordinary. I know that. Can you walk us through your journey from finance to mortgage lending to investing,
Yeah.
development, and eventually becoming a, Park City real estate advisor? Let us know about
Yeah, and this could be an extremely long story, but we'll keep it short.
it. Yeah, keep it
When I
short.
was in college, I couldn't get a job, right? So I was looking everywhere for a job. There were no opportunities out there for me. So what I ended up doing is I started doing mortgages. So when you're 22, 23 years old, it's kind of challenging to get people to trust you and that you know what you're doing. So by the time I was 24 and 25, I had people that were in the industry 20 years going, "Hey, how do we structure these deals?" But I only worked on the hardest deals in order to get them done. So while I was doing that, I started doing some hard money lending, as well as purchased my my first investment property. So I then had the opportunity to move down to Roatan, Honduras, and work on an 85 unit real estate development.
Mhm.
But that's when 2010 hit. So everybody kind of got wiped off the board at that point. I decided it's time to go home. Came back to Utah and kind of started hunkering down, but there were starting to be some really good opportunities in real estate. So what I
Mhm.
did is I was picking up properties for really 15 to 20 cents on the dollar, and I would go in and throw in $10,000 a floor. I'd never done the drywall work or the plumbing, but I was figuring out how to do it all, just trying to stay alive. Um, and ended up getting married around that time too.
Awesome.
And my wife's like, "Hey, you have 9 investment properties. You should probably do something else that's a little bit more fun each day." Because it was kind of, we got it to the point where it was kind of coasting. And we'd worked with a broker at that point that I went, well, if she can be that successful, I can do it too. And with my marketing background for mortgages and knowing everything and owning real estate, it should be a pretty simple transition. Um, it was, but it wasn't. So there's a whole lot more to learn. I had a great foundation. I came in and within just a couple of years, really kind of springboarded to top 10% in the state for Keller Williams. And then that's just kind of continued to grow and become stronger as I really figured out the entire process and the team process as I started team 4 years ago. And currently I'm ranked number 1 in the state for Keller Williams, and pretty high nationally as well.
Awesome. That's really interesting. That's a really interesting story. So, let us know about how did you managing an 85 unit development and in Honduras influence the way that you evaluate properties and advise clients today. So, how did you manage that?
Yeah, I learned a lot about construction costs, and
Mhm.
construction management at that time because we're starting from the ground floor moving dirt. And I remember
Mhm.
just to move a little bit of dirt each week, it was $75,000 a week. So we would actually
Wow.
go down to the bank, pull out $75,000 in cash, walk out in the most dangerous country in the world at that time, and then have to go pay all the workers, right? So um,
Seems
you
interesting.
learn you learn a little bit about those high stake kind of times and your awareness and what's going on. Um, and it was understanding how money works in real estate and how it flows and what people want in a second home community.
Mhm.
That I did pick up a lot. Almost picked up language, but haven't really had to use it for a while. So yeah,
Awesome. What an incredible journey. I gotta tell you, right? What an incredible journey from that, starting to survive until what you have built. Awesome.
yeah.
So Park City attracts permanent residents, second home buyers, investors,
Mhm.
and luxury vacation homeowners. How do you determine which part of the market and which community best fits each buyer? That's something that I hear a lot of people kind of talking about.
Yeah, and there's a lot of overlap there too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you might have somebody say, "Hi, hey, I'm an investor," and I go, "Hey, here's your numbers and what they look like," but they're like saying, "But I really want to use the property, and we're going to use it for 2 weeks out of the year." But what they don't understand in the beginning is they're going to use it 2 years down the road, a month out of a year, and then they're going to
Mhm.
use it 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then they either end up moving here full time or they're spending half their year here and they just love the summers, right? It's kind of warm down in Houston right now. It's going to be in the
Mhm.
80s here, dry. It's going to be
Mhm.
gorgeous.
Yes.
So it's a nice balance where um, what I truly try to do is give people a whole market overview. And I
Mhm.
tell people I'd rather show them too much and let them decide because people coming into our market don't always understand what they want, but if you
Mhm.
can show them, and you can do that relatively quickly, right? You can show them, and then they can just cross it off the list, or they go, "Hey, this is a surprise. We really like this. We didn't expect it." And you
Mhm.
kind of open a door opportunity. So my real goal is to get it narrowed down to two properties, and then go, "Okay, which one do you like best? Then
Mhm.
let's go for that one." And that strategy and that education process seems to work very, very well.
Yeah, that's a very interesting. That's a very. I also love the part that you mentioned, the education part, and which I
Mhm.
do believe that is a necessary step in doing that. Cool, awesome. So, what are you currently seeing in the, let us talk about your market. What are you currently seeing in the Park City luxury market, and how different are conditions across single family homes,
Mhm.
all of these new construction and all of that?
Yeah, our market is depends where you're at in the market. It seems like the lower in the market's really restrained by interest rates, right, as you might
Oh yeah.
expect. But the higher end of the market's doing very well. This year, I've closed deals from $650,000 to $13.5 million. A lot of those in the 4 or 5, all the way up to 10. That some of those are even investors, right? They're looking for that
Exactly.
big, beautiful bill, bonus depreciation,
Mhm.
and they're taking opportunity of that. So the market right now, I really feel is kind of a flat market, much like it was in 2015 for us, where there's not a lot of urgency
Mhm.
until somebody's perfect home comes along. And if it's two people's perfect home, somebody's kind of scared to act and the other one's going to jump on it because they've been waiting 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And
Mhm.
it still goes relatively quick.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. And where do buyers have that negotiation power, and where are sellers still firmly in control? So I think that's what was interesting.
I would say that's kind of property specific and also agent. So I ran some numbers before we popped on this call. And if you're looking at the market overall, we're sitting about 97% list price to sales price. So that means we're in a pretty balanced market, right?
Okay,
But
balance.
we've been able to, and I've been able to negotiate 5.2% off of list price on some
Awesome.
of those property overall on average. So some you can really go in and get a really nice deal for your client, and then there's others that, we're in a funny market. And I tell my buyers and my sellers this, that Park City is a place where nobody has to buy, nobody has to sell, but everybody wants to be here. So if you have a seller, sometimes
I
if they
love it.
sell, they may be making great money when they sell, but they don't know where to put that money, right? They have enough in stocks. They already have
Exactly.
some real estate. They love Park City and they're probably going to keep a place here anyhow. So we go, oh, okay, I understand now, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes
Awesome.
just more money's more money.
Exactly. And who doesn't love that?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. So let's talk about new construction as well. Deer Valley's expansion and the amount of new development around the region are kind of crafting significant attention. Which projects or
Yep.
development do you believe could have the greatest long-term impact on the local market?
I think that whole Deer Valley expansion isn't just great for Deer Valley and Deer Valley's values. And we've seen that all across Deer Valley where the expansion of Deer Valley's pulled up the values. But even on the other side of Jordanelle, where now all of a sudden you have homes and condos that are anywhere from 2 minutes to 10 minutes from skiing, where it used to be, well, you have to go all the way into town or you have to fight on it to get on a smaller chairlift. It's really opened up that whole segment which is all the way down into kind of a Midway, Utah and Heber, Utah, where people used to go, no, 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 that's not Park City. I just sold a $10 million home where these guys wanted to be in Park City, and they go, hey, if it's that easy and that kind of savings where I'd be paying double to be in Park City, I'll consider it. And they loved it. Right. So I think it opens up that whole area, and they'll all boats will rise.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, yeah. Cool, interesting. And also, I gotta ask this as well. What risk should buyers consider when purchasing pre-construction or newly built resort properties as well?
Yeah, I think if you look back here or anywhere, there's been histories if we go through an economic downturn and sales aren't great, that developers don't have the ability to hold on to that property for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They need those sales quickly. We've seen some
So
developers
quickly,
around
okay.
here. Yeah. So they need to be in and out of the project, right? And COVID allowed a lot of developers, just like agents, to look amazing, and their
Mhm.
projects just sell out. Now we're in a more stable, normalized market, and you're
Exactly.
seeing, well, maybe we'll see 7 to 12 deals close
Mhm.
in this area. And there's been a couple projects that have went through foreclosure recently, but I had some clients that have called and they're like, hey, we want to be one of the first ones in. And I go, let's think about what we're really buying here. And we discuss the risks of it. And these are hedge fund guys, so they fully understand the risks. And then they go, man, you are a dumb salesman. I would have bought two of those, but thanks. Right. So I make sure to get on it, send the emails when I'm like, hey, I was right on this. And I hope to continue to be right on them. But there's 2 or 3 projects where I went, hey, guys, let's probably think twice or 3 times before pulling the trigger on this. And it really saved the clients.
Yeah, very interesting point. Very, very interesting. Cool, awesome. You work, you specifically work with, properties ranging from, ultra rich luxury real
Mhm.
estate into kind of ordinary ones. So how does the strategy for marketing and negotiating a multi-million dollar mountain property differ from, just a normal residential estate? Let us know about that part.
Um, yeah, and I think those people all come in kind of off of real estate in Park City. That's what they're looking for, right? And you never know if somebody who is looking at I had somebody looking at a $700,000 condo that they say, hey, take me to the airport, and they fly in a private jet, and they're like, well, our family has some money. Um, I would say the pace is a
Mhm.
big difference typically.
Mhm.
Um, that would be to me the biggest difference there is the pace of the negotiation, and that a high net worth buyer will step away from the transaction, and they'll do it kindly and quietly, where sometimes there can be more emotion involved when you're
Mhm.
sub a million or 1.5. There can be a
Mhm.
lot of emotion involved, and it's a big purchase for everyone, right?
It is, for sure.
Sometimes, yeah. So sometimes they're like, hey, I'm really stretching the budget because that's what you have to do here. But they're getting in at 1.2 million. They wanted to be in at a million. So it's a little bit more tense.
Exactly, exactly. You said it very, very well. Exactly. And at the highest price points, how important are let because you mentioned it, I want to also talk about that part. How important are private networks, off-market opportunities in architectures and the lifestyle positioning? Does that even have any impact? And yes, if yes, how?
There is, and it's important to have those. So if you have a buyer coming in and they say, "Here, I want to be specifically in Deer Valley or specifically in Old Town," you need to have that network. And some of that might be, "Hey, I have some past clients in there." Some may be, "Hey, I have 2 other agents I should give a call to and see if they have anything coming or off market." So it's not only important to have the off market um, with past clients, but also have great relationships with agents, because we have some great agents out here that have been doing it a long time.
For
And
sure.
so if you can kind of work together on that and still get your clients their price, that's kind of
Do
the bread and butter. And looking back, some of my larger transactions never ran across the MLS,
wow.
right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've never been a credit guy, hey, give me the credit for that. But you're looking, hey, when my client goes to sell that, they got such a great deal on that off market. Like I don't want it recorded for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes
So nobody
sense.
ever knows what they pay. Yeah.
Exactly. Very good. Very, very good. I love that, Derek. I love that. Cool. So, Derek, for someone that is considering buying, selling, or investing in Park City over the next year, or maybe right now, what is the biggest mistake they should avoid? And what should they do before making any decision?
Um, Maybe that's both. The answer is contact an agent that understands the market, right?
Yeah.
We've seen people that come in unrepresented and they bought into projects that have high assessments coming but aren't public knowledge. You've seen people dramatically overpay
Mm,
and they get themselves, and they're paying cash, right? And the listing agent represents the seller. So they go, well, if you're going to pay cash, why would you need an appraisal? So then they don't get an
yes.
appraisal, and then they just pay 20% too high. That could be, it could be a couple 100,000 or a couple million, right? So
Yes.
everybody trying to save a dime out there, which is understandable, and it's worked sometimes for people, but also there's a lot of risk in that.
Exactly. Look, this is a very, very good point. Like, I have seen a lot of people, they will be like, hey, my cousin is a real estate agent,
Yeah.
my friend. Like, why should I? No, it's really important to work with someone that is professional, that knows the market. Look, there are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things are happening, and people need to be careful with what they're doing. And you said it very well. It can be a couple of $1,000, maybe a couple of $1 million. They gotta be super careful.
Yeah, and
Cool.
I was a young agent once, right? So I can't say, hey, just go in and find the guy who's the most senior, or the gal that's most senior, and they'll take care of you. There's probably a balance in there where
Mhm,
you want to work with an agent that's really out there to protect their interests or
mhm,
their what they're trying to do, um, versus just going with the guy that they Google and go, oh, this is the top guy. Let's go with
mhm.
them. Do a little bit of research on the agent too.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense. Cool. Awesome. So, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in Park City and if you're looking to sell or do anything in real estate, I think you have enough reasons that you got to work with Derek. So, Derek, let them know how they can contact with you and, how they can find you.
Yeah, really simply, just jump on realestateinparkcity.com, has all our contact information there. Reach out via text, phone, email. There's a ton of ways to communicate nowadays. And then we'd be happy to help them out.
Awesome, Derek. This has been a fantastic conversation. But before we finish, is there any last thing that you want to mention? Because, anything that you think, hey, I gotta say it because right now this is a situation, this in the market, or this is the mistake that a lot of maybe even real estate agents are doing, and buyers or sellers. So let us know what is that last piece of advice.
I think last piece of advice would be life short, right? Live life on vacation, take advantage of it. There's a ton of things. If there's other agents watching to build a business, and there's 1,000 different ways to do it, but if you focus on your one or two ways to build a business, just hone in on that, become an expert, and that's how you'll build a business. And then just stay cool, calm, and collected, and all will go okay.
Awesome. I love that, Derek. Thank you so much for being in Soaring Real Estate Podcast. This has been an awesome conversation with you so far. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to purchase or if you're looking for any real estate agent in Park City, Derek should be number one in contacting right now. And he just mentioned how. Thank you again for having me.